and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to Fantasy Time NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We got 14 games here on Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, so we get to get a good big slate in. Then we get to go eat some turkey, relax, watch some football, enjoy ourselves, then hop right back into the NBA season after that. But they are not light on games. Everybody who played on Tuesday is playing on Wednesday. Only two teams, right? Two teams aren't playing on this one. We have the Pistons and the who?
The Knicks. The Pistons and the Knicks.
For whatever reason, they're lucky. They got the two games off here on a Wednesday. Big slate. A lot of players talk about potential injuries, game totals, spreads. We had a ridiculous 300-point total game here on the Tuesday. We touted it pretty heavily. Hopefully you tuned into everything that we did all day with the podcast pregame show here, the live show at 5 o'clock. We kept saying, get your exposure to the Atlanta Indy game, get your exposure to that game. Went for 309. I think it was the final tally there, James.
Yep.
Total points there.
Yep.
And if you didn't stack that game, you probably aren't in the money here tonight. So looking forward to this 14 gamer. Do we have any totals like that, James? That
also shout out Sean Mitchell, cover of the playbook tonight, John.
Hallie.
Tyrese Halliburton.
And the analysis in there was like, no matter what, I'm finding a way to plug in Tyrese Halliburton. We were all in on him too. Once we saw that roster ship, right? Yep. We said, hey, this is what we're looking at. Now, again, we had him around like 12%, I think. He ended up being around 18% in the single entries. But still, I mean, on a 5-game slate, that's pretty low ownership for a guy that went for, at one point, was on pace for 92 fantasy points, according to my my contest. Ended up finishing just shy of 80 there. Scored 26 actual in the third quarter of that game. Got held scoreless, actually, in the fourth, which kind of killed out the ceiling projection there. But, I mean, that dude. There's a reason he was the cover of our draft guide this year, James.
Yes. He is quite good.
Good to
quite good. And we get to see him again in action here in that game because there's no defense played in Indiana. 237.5. You were talking about totals. Indiana.
2 teams that are on a back-to-back, Toronto and Indy.
2 teams on a back-to-back. 2 teams not on a back-to-back, but you would never know it by the way they play. Washington and Charlotte, slot fest there. But 242
we always total. Love when Washington and Charlotte get together. Those games can be high scoring. I think we saw Charlotte get blown out by Washington a few games ago, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it was in Charlotte.
It was, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was in Charlotte. They lost by 16 in Charlotte.
Yeah. So, well, we just got the Jordan Poole ceiling game, so unlikely we get that Jordan Poole ceiling game here again.
Well, Jordan Poole, for one ceiling game from one standpoint and one standpoint only, the scoring.
Knocked down 30, man. He also didn't know how the clock worked in that game.
True, I saw that. Highlights. I did.
For whatever reason, he thought there was stoppage time in the NBA. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen a man embarrass himself more than Jordan Poole has in the NBA so far.
Yeah, there was like 4 minutes left. They stop it under 2 minutes, and that is not how that works, Jordan. So anyways, let's see. How many games over 230? Brooklyn, Atlanta, Toronto, Indiana, Milwaukee, Boston, all over 230. Sacramento, New Orleans, run it back. Kings, by the way, John, in that game, 2-point favorites again on the road. Just throwing that out there. Mm-hmm. Clippers, San Antonio, running it back again. Clippers 9.5-point favorites, but 230 in that game. 232 in Golden State, Phoenix, and 236 in Dallas, LA. So we have half the slate 230 and above. So what does that mean? 14 games, John. You know what's off my board right away? Memphis, Houston, gone. 213.5. Not even looking at it.
Miami, Cleveland.
212? Miami, Cleveland, 212. Pretending like it doesn't exist. And unfortunately, we probably can't do that because we don't know if Donovan Mitchell and Karis LeVert are going to play. And we just saw what happened in the Cleveland Philly game on Tuesday.
I'm still going to play Duncan Robinson, so I don't care.
Sure.
Actually, I guess I don't know. I don't know what his price tag is yet. I haven't looked at it. So
Denver, Orlando, 218. Like, some of these games are just like very unappealing. We're going to get into it right now and everything. But like on a 14 game slate, it would not be terrible to just get things off your board right away and condense the slate a little bit.
No, I agree with you. Shorten the player pool up a little bit. So let's get into a point guard spot. We got Luka in LA here, 11-8. LaMelo, 10-2. Halliburton, 10K. SGA is now under $10,000 at $9,700. I get it. It's Chicago. You mentioned the game total of that one. But $9,700, not too bad. You have Fox coming off a very disappointing game in that blowout against the Pelicans at 94. Steph Curry's down to 93. Trae Young there again, running it back at 92. Maxey 9K. Those are your top point guards on the slate. I mean, we have to talk about LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
I mean, against Boston, everything fell in for him here. Went to overtime in that game, but still hit all of his shots. 15 of 27, took 27 shots, which was the great thing to go there. We also had the threes, 5 of 11, nearly triple doubled, 36, 9, and 8. So for getting this kind of numbers, which we've had now for a 5-game stretch, like he's playing above a 10-2, and he's going against Washington. He played 36 minutes in that game. They lost by 16. He put up 50. So tell me why. Tell me why not. Why not LaMelo Ball?
I'm not going to tell you why, because I'm going to play LaMelo. Dude, it's like, again, it just comes down to one of those things where sometimes you just overstate matchups and stuff, and sometimes players just in the NBA are just players in the NBA, and they're just the best players in the world. Boston's a great defensive team. It didn't matter, right? Washington's a bad defensive team. It's probably not going to matter. LaMelo probably should be closer to 11K at 10-2. I'm all in. One of the top spend-ups of the slate.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And again, that's not to take away from what Halliburton just did or what Luka can do. SGA even at $9,700. I mean, this dude has been flashing 50s and 60 fantasy point upside. Yep. Getting him. I mean, why is he 97? This man has been.
Stupid. That's just silly.
His lowest price point's been 10-3.
I don't have that. I do absolutely not have an answer for. That just is wrong.
Well, if they're home and it's a 7-point spread, I guess like that would be like we're worried about a blowout because against Portland in a blowout, he only played 23 minutes in that game.
Alex Caruso defense maybe, but like it was Alex Caruso defense moving the needle on SGA's price like for the first time. I mean, this is the first time all season he's been under 10K.
It's a big. It's not. He's not 9. I mean, get it, 97, but like he went from 10-3 to 97. He wasn't. I mean, very curious to see what we get the rostership there for him. Again, De'Aaron Fox is actually a little bit more expensive than he was the other day, coming off of the dud. But we saw what he was giving us prior to that. I don't know if you're scared off of that matchup since we just saw it in the Pellies, just blew them out, but. And then Curry at 93 again, giving you 40s, giving you some 50s. Go Phoenix on the back-to-back here. So who knows who suits up for them in that game? It's a pretty interesting point guard spot. I still think I'm just going to live in the SGA LaMelo Ball range here.
Yeah, I have no problem getting to basically anybody here. Probably not going to get to Luka 11-8. I know he's been good the last few games, but I feel like we have better value below. LaMelo's probably my top guy. SGA price wise, I have no problem going back to De'Aaron Fox, especially with how well he shot. Other than that one game, I know Herb Jones exists, and I told you like I did think Herb Jones would defend him, and there was just Herb Jones defends everybody. Like I don't know what to say. He's just everywhere, but. I do not expect another 5 for 18. Neither does Vegas. Even in a game like Keegan Murray's questionable, Chris Duarte's questionable. Kings are still favorites on the road in a big total.
Yeah.
Going right back to the well. They're not on a back-to-back in this one. The Curry thing is interesting. The price is for sure interesting. The only thing is, and we just keep saying it, Chris Paul is starting. And Chris Paul had like 8 assists in the first 3 minutes of that game. He had a double. Mm-hmm. And then you're getting like Looney in the starting lineup as a good rebounder. There's no peripheral stats for Steph Curry right now. He's been amazing offensively, but that's it.
Yep.
That's it. That's all we're getting. So why would we play him when we could play like Trey for cheaper, or we could play Dame who's been really good lately for cheaper, or Maxey, who's been like, just the list goes on. Kyrie, I know Kyrie was bad against Sacramento, but the game prior, 55. Like,
Yep.
I don't know.
Grande coming off of a good game at 83.
Yep.
I'm curious if Brogdon plays on the back-to-back since he's coming off the hamstring injury, but he was really good.
He was.
First game back. What did his minutes end up being in that one? Brogdon played 25 in his return game there. So obviously he was a bit limited. That game also goes a little bit out of hand there as well, but 19 and 5 in his return game for them. So curious to see if he plays the back-to-back or not. You talked of Harden against San Antonio in that game. They're running it right back with each other. He had 38 fantasy points and a double-double in that one.
Dude, he was so good and never played the fourth quarter, because of the blowout. So it's just one of those things. I think we're going to – the assist numbers – from that first game without Westbrook, I knew right away it was sustainable because he's playing point guard, and James Harden's a good point guard who also can score 20 a night. So yeah, I'm willing to go back to Harden. What do we have for the Clippers pricing in general? Is it soft again? Because Paul George got a bump, Kawhi got a slight bump. Yeah, it's still pretty soft. So I'm perfectly fine getting to Harden at 79.
Sure. Let's see. You mentioned Chris Paul with the double-double against Phoenix here, a little revenge game for him. Been really good. $7,200. He's certainly paying off the price point. If you're in on that game, you can certainly look at Paul and cash games, I think, at the price. Drew Holiday, Derek White's going to be back for Boston, not on the injury report. He's dealing with some personal issues anyways, which is why he missed that. But you do have this sort of revenge game for Drew Holiday there. We know how bad Milwaukee has been defensively against opposing backcourts. Anybody else here in this mid-tier range for you?
I mean, I guess I'm gonna give Darius Garland a shart.
Shout?
Not a shart. A shout. Hopefully Darius Garland does not shart while on the floor. That would be unfortunate for him. I mean, if he went for 55 fantasy points, like if there's there's no Donnie Mitch, not my favorite spot to attack, but we just saw the ceiling can be super high. So that's probably somewhere I'd go. Okay. Reggie Jackson had a really good game the other night. I think it's correlated to Jokic getting ejected. It was 100%
to do with Joker getting ejected.
Yeah. Colby White had a ceiling game the other night. Can he do that against OKC?
Cole Anthony had double-double off the bench tonight.
Cole Anthony is so random with his performances, but he does have a high ceiling. And then you get into this value tier. I mean, if anyone for Utah, I don't know. I wonder if anyone in Utah would sit on a back-to-back.
Keontae George is not playing well, but he has taken 11 shots. He's 3 for 11. He's got 9, 3, 2, and 1 on the night in 21 minutes. They just kind of put their bench in right now. They're down 84-59 to the Lakers. So it could be an early night for a lot of these Jazz and Lakers starters here in this one.
Yeah, which isn't the worst thing. They don't really have to travel that far. It's a really good matchup. I would be probably willing to go back to Utah guards here.
Yeah, you get two bad teams, right? There's some upside when those matchups are against each other. Did we just see this game recently? We did. He had 32 points in that fantasy points, 15 and 7 in that game. So certainly doable. Tyus continues to start for them.
Yep.
And not terrible at 54. Colin Sexton at the 48. I mean, he's actually having a pretty good game. I always play Caruso, $4,800. I don't mind going there. Can't go back to Pritchard well with Derek White back. Podzinski played 17 minutes. Probably hard to pay that price in that game there.
Yeah, and now Gary Payton questionable, so that could even drop.
Back to Porter if there's no LeVert and Mitchell again.
Oh boy, it's tough.
Not cheap anymore.
I know, 4,600. What did he end up playing? He ended up playing 27 minutes off the bench.
I think he had 28, 29 fantasy points, something like that.
30. He went for 30.
30?
Yeah. I mean the minutes is solid, but man, that is not a cheap price tag. Tough. Probably a pass for me.
Okay. Do we read into Aaron Holiday's performance at all?
Probably just a second leg of a back-to-back because Jalen Green was the one who just didn't play, right? They just like didn't play Jalen Green in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I would assume we get back to Jalen Green minutes. Maybe something like maybe more substantial than Aaron Holiday is NAW playing 33 minutes in the Knicks game. That was after Jaden McDaniels' injury, and Jaden
Right.
McDaniels already ruled out. So
Yeah.
I don't love this because I think he has a low floor. But $3,700 if he's going to play 33 minutes, I don't hate that. I don't love it, but I
We'll
don't
see
hate
who starts, right? They'll have to put someone in the starting lineup for him there, so we can pay attention to that. Shooting guard position here again. You have the Phoenix Golden State game. We'll see if Booker plays the back-to-back. You mentioned Paul George again. That was a blowout, and he played 32 minutes still and had 46 fantasy points. So can certainly continue to ride the PG-13 train if you want. Brandon Ingram had 42 in 26 minutes in that blowout. You think it's going to be more competitive? He's certainly in a great spot there to do some damage. And Edwards' number keeps falling down to $8,500 for him. We mentioned DeJounte Murray there coming off of a strong game as well. Clarkson had a big game against Portland, 30 actual in that one. So not shooting well tonight. Didn't shoot well the other day, but likely going to get a little bit of a rest here given the state of this contest. So, some good guys in this 8K tier here.
Yeah, I'm definitely willing to give another crack at Clarkson against Portland. It's a great spot. I do like the Paul George shout quite a bit. Really good matchup against the Spurs. Only the Hornets have been worse defensively. I told you I'm willing to go back to the Sacramento New Orleans game. If New Orleans offense shows up like it did last time, and we get the Sacramento offense, like that game is going to be maybe the best game in Byron on the board. And that's why I played it. That's why I played Sabonis the first time around. Like dream scenario, it just didn't happen that way. But Ingram back-to-back 30 actual point games is really hard, really nice to see. And then you're right, the Ant thing, he did have a good game last time.
I was going to say, I mean, the price keeps dropping, but he came off of a double-double performance. Now, you want to see him shooting a better than 9 of 21, but we have to love the shots.
Have to love the shots.
And the Knicks are a tough spot, but Philly's a tough spot for him too, but the price is nice. I mean, we didn't love the early pricing at 9K. Then he all of a sudden dropped down to 8K, and he's giving us 50s and 60s. We're like, all right, now we got to get him in our lineups. We put him in our lineups, and now we've gotten 36, 28, 33, back up to 47 here. So I'm in. I'll definitely go consider him in some tournament play for sure.
Same.
Let's see other mid-tier options. I mean, Struss Revenge coming off of a really big night. If LeVert and Mitchell are out, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good player. He's a good player.
He's good. He's a good basketball player for sure. Jordan Poole. Do you go back to the well?
I don't know.
It's the worst defensive unit in basketball.
I know, but the thing is, we got a ceiling scoring game out of him, and he only gave you 34.
Maybe this is a springboard into something here for Jordan Poole. He heard the rumors. He heard the rumors about being traded already.
Listen. I think there's some viability to it because he's not as bad as he was.
No,
I don't think he's this. But
agreed. I agree.
Every other game is giving you at least more than 1 and 1 for rebounds and assists too. So like maybe he loses some points but gains some back in other stats. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in a game stack. That was the only reason I had him in that game was I played Giannis. I played, I just was part of the stack in that one. So what's Lonnie Walker doing up here, man?
Scoring a lot of points.
Scoring a lot of points. I mean, who's out?
Everyone.
Cam Thomas, Ben Simmons, and Smith Jr. So that did it.
Yep. And those three guys are all out again.
I was going to say, Lonnie Walker at 59 against an Atlanta team that just gave up 150 points.
It makes you wonder, because like Lonnie Walker's always been one of those guys that you see like score off the bench. Like it makes you wonder how people like Lonnie Walker don't stick, right? Like the guy is literally averaging 17
the Knicks didn't
game.
Sign quickly. So like,
True. True.
Yeah, Lonnie Walker is probably trending towards a core play, I think, for me at that point.
I mean, he gets Atlanta. We just saw Atlanta give up 160 points.
So, like, all the wings. All the wings scored against Atlanta.
They legit gave up 160. 157 points.
Yeah. And now they're on a back-to-back.
And now they're on a back-to-back.
I feel like I'm going to get to a lot of Lonnie Walker.
It's a great pace-up spot for...
I'm going to get to a lot of Lonnie. What version of Klay Thompson shows up? Guy that hit 5 threes or what?
Said, I mean, finally scored 20 points in a game. I still think, like... it's crazy to say this. I still think 58 feels too expensive for Klay. Maybe this is a guy that we've paid.
Coming down though. I mean,
it is coming down. Would you rather
play Duncan Robinson or Klay Thompson at the same price tag?
It's a loaded question.
I mean, honestly, seriously, are they the same player at this point? I mean,
Duncan's a better player.
Duncan might be better. Is Duncan better?
He is a better player right now. What is Klay doing better than Duncan Robinson right now? Duncan Robinson shooting 43% from 3.
I know, dude. Duncan Robinson's a baller.
So the answer to your question is I would rather play Duncan Robinson. But will I play either of them? No, I probably will
not. We got a minutes increase.
We did, and he also balled.
We got a slight minutes. He's been balling this whole time.
No, he has, but yeah. I mean, he's just like a really good basketball player.
I know. Probably still can't get there because it's only 23, 24 minutes, but he's been good. Bogdan shot the moon out. I don't know if we can go back to that or not, but big game for him here. THT, Austin Reeves, Tim Hardaway Jr. Anyone there?
Reeves, fine. Hardaway, if he shoots well. But, like, even with Luka and Kyrie on the floor, like, the peripheral stats just don't exist. Like, he needs to score. Probably a little too score independent for me. THT, definitely don't like the price increase. I will say that I will give him, he had a good first half in that Lakers-Utah game. He hasn't done nothing.
A lick of anything.
Hasn't done anything since. I will... it's one of those things. I don't think I'm going to get to a $5,300 THT who might play 18 minutes.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. Moving our way down here. Norman Powell was a popular value play, played 30 minutes again. He closed that game as well. He was on the floor with the blowout. Do you pay the $5K though, the $1,000 increase on him?
I mean, there's a lot to like about it, where he's scoring. He's now scored double figures in 4 straight. He scored 23 plus fantasy points in 4 straight. He's closing in blowouts. This game has a near 10-point spread. I don't know if we need to get there. Like, here's a question for you, John. If Buddy Hield starts again, $5,200 for Buddy Hield or $5K for Norm Powell, I think my answer would be Buddy Hield, even on a back-to-back.
I was gonna say you've been king of not playing shooters on the second nights of back-to-backs.
Yeah.
And it's Carlisle. We don't even know what they're going to do with that rotation.
Well, that's why I said if we were to get Buddy Hield starting, like if Buddy Hield started, because he looked good. He hit 6. He was 6 of 6 from 3 on Tuesday.
No, he's a good player. I don't know why they just why he's not playing him.
Right.
Below him, you have Colin Sexton. Sexton's having a pretty decent game right now, playing against the scrubs of LA. Just to let you know the state of this game, Yurt 7's on the floor playing minutes. So
I love that.
We're at 96-67 LA, about a minute left in the third, but Sexton's still out there scoring. So always a good guy off the bench. Gets Portland here, $4,800. Went for 28 minutes against them at 34 fantasy points. So probably a lot of people get back to Sexton maybe here.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was he was the best priced Utah value, right? Mm-hmm. Like Keontae is still mid-5s. THT getting a mid-5 bump is ludicrous. So
yeah, agreed. Where else are we looking at?
So I'd be willing to go back to Isaiah Joe. Jalen Williams is ruled out in this game. Isaiah Joe. So the rotation that Portland game was insane. They played 15 guys. But he went 5 of 6 and 20 fantasy points. He's now played He's now at 20 plus fantasy points in 3 straight games. Johnny's shooting 50% from 3. And just with
He's just a
Jalen.
score. I mean, the steals have been good, I guess, but he doesn't really give you a ton else.
No, he doesn't really give you a ton else. You like the position eligibility, but they started, and they could do this again because the Bulls play small. They started Case and Wallace last game, and that's good news for Isaiah Joe, because if Case Wallace isn't doing much or gets in foul trouble at all, because Case Wallace is a good defender, he's probably going to have to guard Levine or DeRozan or one of those two guys. Isaiah Joe's the first guy off the bench for them. So he's also played over Giddey at times because Dagnall just doesn't care. He will bench Josh Giddey if he has to. So I like Isaiah Joe 46.
Any Kispert interest?
I mean, I don't, but the field will. The field loves Corey Kispert.
They do. I agree. Let's go small forward here. Tatum, 10-3, gets Milwaukee. He called his shot against Charlotte, came through. 77 fantasy points there. If you don't know what we're talking about, go listen to the show from the other day.
Yep.
Or go check out Hornets Reddit, because apparently they also remember that podcast bit, and we're talking about Tatum following through there. So 77 fantasy points. He does show up in these spots against Milwaukee. Obviously those battles in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I do like this. Milwaukee is a pretty bad defensive team. So Tatum at 10-3, no one's going to play him, because the Celtics is a full team. Nobody goes there. But man showed you a ceiling with no Derek White, right? So it's not. We know he can still do that with Jaylen Brown and Porzingis and all those guys on the floor. JT can still be the guy. LeBron on a back-to-back after getting a rest night here against Utah. LeBron has played 24 minutes. I doubt he gets back in this game. Up 102-75.
No, it's Taco Tuesday, John. He's probably eating Taco Tuesday for dinner on the
saving the energy. 96, a price decrease as well. Like an LBJ here against Dallas.
Oh yeah,
100%, right?
Kyrie
Irving narrative in play. Those two guys, frenemies. Kyrie Irving, LeBron James.
Dallas is 4th in pace and 25th in defense.
Yeah.
So yeah, last time, by the way, I don't know if you saw this. They had a back-to-back at home, 23 minutes on the front end, 35 minutes on the back end, John. 28, 12, 10, 4 steals, 71 fantasy points. Just saying, when we get the LeBron James listed questionable tag, he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing, especially in these tournament games, because he cares about them.
He does.
He does care.
He wants the 500K.
We didn't really care for Scotty Barnes on Tuesday. Any interest here against the Pacers at 86?
If there was ever a time to play Raptors, it's this spot, dude.
Right, we're getting the lowest price he's been since early November, so almost a month.
Like, he's not a priority. He's not a priority on this slate, but it's just simply for the fact that
somebody on Toronto's having a ceiling game, right?
Yes, that's bingo. That is it right there.
And somebody on Toronto is going for 8x.
It's probably like OG, right? OG is probably the guy. He had 6 blocks on Tuesday, randomly. But I'm just saying, Indiana cannot stop a nosebleed. So
you've been on the Mikal Bridges train. I still have not put this guy in my lineup this year, but I mean, against Atlanta, if there was a spot, right? Isn't this the 50 fantasy point Mikal Bridges game?
Yeah, I mean, and he was really good in the Philly game scoring. They just got torched, and he did nothing, and that whole team just got torched. So, I mean, he's just safe. He's gonna take a lot of shots, and he's been a lot better peripherally. I mean, even that Miami game, he takes 15 shots. He had 10 free throw attempts. So, I like Mikal Bridges here. He is their leading scorer. I know Lonnie Walker's up there too, but he's their leading scorer.
Butler down to 8K.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good price, dude. It's just one of those things,
I agree. If Cleveland has Donnie Mitch in them, though, this might be a game that Butler shows up for.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland's Cleveland started off slow, but like no Garland, no Jared Allen to start the year, right? And now they have no Donovan Mitchell and no
It's just
LeVert.
annoying that you have these two games where Butler decides to play.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then he has these two games against Chicago where you think you'd want to play, and he's just passive Jimmy Butler shows up,
That is the perfect example of why like I have slowly like gotten my brain away from the narrative stuff, because like you said, like in theory you're like, oh, Jimmy Butler, Chicago, like this makes total sense in the world. Thibodeau like tried to like ruin his career there where he's playing 48 minutes a night, and it just, I'm not saying all narratives don't matter, because there are narratives that do, but that is like my brain like doing me right these days.
Yeah.
Like get away from narratives. Play Yurt 7. Play Yurt 7,
Mid-tier guys here. Keldon went for 46 in that game.
Dude. It's just, what are we doing, dude?
I don't know.
Are you going to be the 15 rebound plus assist guy, or are you going to be the 4 rebound plus assist guy? Because for the last 4 years, you've been the 4 guy. But every 4 out of every 5 games this year, you've been the 15 rebound and assist guy. We know you can score the basketball. You're going to be a 20-point scorer for this team probably by the year's end. It's just like we're gonna suggest him tomorrow, and in 33 minutes he's gonna have 22, 3, and 1, and we're gonna be like, oh, right, that Keldon exists again. So I mean, GPPs.
Miles was the highest rostered player of the slate the other day. He was 70% in the starting lineup against Boston. Only shot 3 of 13, but he had 15 rebounds in that game. I did go to overtime at 5,700. They have wasted no time. He's up to $7,200. We said on the show a bunch of times, like, he's not a sub 6K player. He's closer to a 7K player, so play him. Well, now he's 72. And now he's got Washington. And he's probably going to start again.
Yep.
So you probably have to play him.
Yeah, I mean, everything in that last game solidified the Miles Bridges thing, right? 44 minutes, you mentioned overtime, which means he plays 39 minutes in regulation. So he was on the floor the whole game. He didn't make any shots and still gives you 40-plus fantasy points. They went to him to win the game when he was 2 of 12. I mean, there's really nothing that he doesn't do well on a basketball court. So if we get a slightly more efficient, he goes for 60 fantasy points probably in that game. So yeah, I have absolutely no issue getting the Bridges, even at this price tag, because this is honestly, it's probably going to be mid-8s by.
If he goes and gives you another 40 fantasy points, he's going to be an 8K play really quick. So
yeah, and there's still no Rozier, so we don't have to worry about that.
No, I agree. Moving our way down, I touted Herb as much as I could on the show. I put him in the playbook. I put him in the core plays. I put him in my lineup. I told you to put him in your lineup. 18, 7, 4, 2, and 1 at $6,300 in just 27 minutes because of the blowout there. Had 40 fantasy points because he fouled out in 28 minutes against Minnesota. You're running it right back. They didn't move the price. Is he as efficient again? Are you going to get the same kind of production out of him? I mean, that guy was all over the place.
You need to worry about the fouls, I think, in a competitive setting, because he had 4 fouls in 27 minutes.
Yep.
I think that directly will correlate to De'Aaron Fox not going 3 of 18 again. So, like, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just also pointing out that although he is first team all defense in my eyes, he does foul a lot. And there are always those games where he fouls out in 28 minutes. And he still had 40 fantasy points in that Minnesota game. So I can't say anything negative about him. Just saying, there's always the off chance that Herb Jones has 2 fouls in 4 minutes. And you're like, shoot, I played a 1% Herb Jones at 6,300 and he's not playing again.
Not 6,300, but I played Jabari Walker. He had 4 fouls in 3 minutes today.
That's basically I mean, smaller. I mean, like you said, the Jabari Walker smaller scale, but 60. Oh my God!
What do you do with this guy? What do we do? What do we do here?
I mean, he should be 10K.
What are
So
we doing?
like,
What do we do? What do we do with Santi Aldama?
I mean, he should be 10K. So you go to Memphis and you go to Memphis, Sean. Okay, just go to the Memphis tab.
And you see who's actually
and
playing
then
for them.
click util. And then just scroll. I mean, dude, they have 8 guys out. Like all the rotation pieces. they all play.
Yeah, they put Gilead on the floor and they were like, you know what, you kind of suck. So
yeah, they started him, and then they ended up eventually starting.
Back to Zaire Williams for a little bit.
They started Concher at point guard. I mean, like, it's Santi.
We were touting Santi for a bit. Once Adams got out, I was like wait for Santi Aldama to come back, and then they just kind of like teased us randomly. Like this game broke my soul because I played him. He's a really good player, man. Like they said he was a prospect that they were looking for last year. He showed glimpses of it. I think these are very repeatable numbers for Santi Aldama. He does stretch the floor. He can rebound. He can give you blocks and steals. Is he going to go 6 of 15 from 3 again? Probably not. But like, I do think that he's probably a 35 to 40% 3-point shooter. You know, I know you hate the pace of this game, and it's in Houston, and you mentioned immediately just crossing this one off, but I do like Aldama here. I do.
So I like Santi, and I think he can be fine, especially if he's starting. But I'm just not going to play him in the spot.
Okay.
I'm not the spot. I think there's going to be a lot of problems for Memphis in general, just like scoring the basketball in this game.
Sure. Anybody else at small forward here for you? You try Koulibaly again?
He's consistent. He's good. 4,800's getting up there. Jaquez, dude, they just play this kid. They just love this kid. He's gonna play 19, hit 3 threes. Like, he's just a good basketball player. 5,100. I'm not completely opposed to getting there. And then, do you think? I guess if Slow-Mo started 4,600, I would definitely have some interest in Slow-Mo. I'd probably have some interest in Slow-Mo regardless. I know he only played 23 minutes in that Knicks game, but he's been pretty good on a per minute basis.
And he's giving you his usual stat line, right?
Yeah. So if he starts, I'd have a lot of interest in Slow-Mo.
Sure.
Neesmith, John, 4,200. If he starts tomorrow, I'd have a lot of interest in Neesmith. We were talking about it before we got on air. He was really good in the first quarter.
Picked up all the fouls.
And then really good in the second half. Probably on his way to 30 fantasy points.
Jordas Niang was good on Tuesday.
Jordas Niang is just he's a good little basketball player. No, I shouldn't say little. He's good.
Big. Yeah.
It's good. He's a good big basketball player.
Anybody else?
I mean, you could play Conchar but he's just the lowest floor player of all time.
Sure. Power forward then. Giannis is here after a slate breaker, 73.
Yep.
Back-to-back 70 fantasy point games. Gets Boston here. Maybe we see more Al Horford in this game. I don't know.
I don't know if anyone gets. I mean, this version of Giannis, no one's stopping. We'll see if we get it, but if he's doing this, no one's stopping.
I mean, the Celtics finally have a length person to deal with Giannis for the first time ever. They've had athleticism to try to deal with him before.
True.
And then they had Marcus Smart defend him for they had Grant Williams and his strength try to defend him there for a little bit. But at least now they have another legit 7-3 guy out there on the floor. So
yeah.
I don't imagine the head-to-head matchups for Giannis versus Porzingis went Porzingis' way. But, he's on the floor out there for him. KD 10-4. We talked to LeBron James already, probably going to be the guy we plug in. Zion's 84, Kawhi 83, Towns against Philly at 83. Kuzma's got Charlotte at 82, Wemby down to 81. I mean, where are we going here? Power forward at the top end seems pretty loaded.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of interest in Giannis playing the way he's playing. The assists have been there now, 7 assists in 4 of his last 5, 35 plus in 5 of his last 6. Apparently, he can play with Damian Lillard. It's crazy.
It's a lot easier if it's just them two playing together.
It is. Yeah, they look pretty good together after a slow start. Weird how like time helps players like develop chemistry.
Yeah, all right, here's the deal, Damon. When you're not shooting, you pass to Giannis. Giannis, when you're not shooting, you pass to Dame, and we just see what happens.
Definitely can get to Durant, Tatum, LeBron if you want. Markkanen probably actually in play for tournaments. This feels like it could be a ceiling game for him against Portland. Probably low owned. Zion, not opposed to getting. He's looked better of late, and 30 minutes. You know, I'd like to see 34, 35, but 36, 37.
We're getting 40 fantasy points though, and this was a blowout game.
I know. I'm just saying, like,
he got 37 against Denver.
In Denver, I know, and he goes for 50. It's like, you know that there's the minutes can be there. I suspect they could be in this game because I expect the much closer output. So Zion's fine, Kawhi's fine.
Floor game, right? Yeah, this is the floor Kuzma game that we got there against Charlotte.
The floor Kuzma game, and he's kind of been The rebounds have kind of been crappy.
13 assists.
And you just can't. That's just not repeatable.
No, I agree. You want to talk ceiling, get Siakam at 8K.
You want to talk ceiling, it's Siakam at 8K. I agree. He has looked pretty good.
Price drop for him. 85, 87 the last 3 slates. Now down to 8K again.
Well, I think we pointed that out on the Tuesday slate. He was 82 on the Tuesday slate.
Yeah.
And now he's 8K, and now he gets a team that doesn't literally can't play defense. So yeah, Siakam for me is in play as well.
I agree. Jeremy Grant's having a ceiling game right now at 76. I mean, are in that game against Phoenix. But let's see. Where else are we going to go then? Where do you go after Jeremy Grant?
After Jeremy Grant, I went right past him. Not that I don't like him. You can definitely play John Collins.
Jalen Johnson?
Yeah, it's probably Jalen Johnson, who just had another 40 fantasy points on Tuesday.
It's actually quite frustrating that he's gone and just smashed everything except for the day I bet it's 21.5 rebounds and assist prop.
Well, keep that. Well, let's bring that up tomorrow when we're looking at some props and stuff. Let's see what the book set Jalen Johnson at. Okay, because if it's too low again, there's something
fishy. Yeah,
there's something cooking there. Jabari at 6K feels a little too expensive.
MJ,
dude, I just play him every slate. I know it's been fine.
The minutes have been sad, but I mean, 2 blowouts in there.
Yeah, the blowouts have been killer because you got that random, he returns and they play him 35 minutes in Washington. You're like, oh, we're good. He's playing all the minutes moving forward. And then, so yeah, I mean, I'm going back to Cam J 57. And then John, Sadiq Bey is still under 5K.
$4,900 again, doubled on Tuesday.
They're closing with him over DeAndre Hunter. And he's just been really good, and he spaces the floor extremely well for that team. So I'm definitely gonna. I bet you the field might be a little more hip to playing Sadiq Bey than they were on Tuesday.
Okay. But let's see. Hachimura is having a decent little blowout run game. I wonder if Isaac only played 12 minutes because of the back-to-back here. What do you think?
Probably. He did that in the front end last time, and then played 17 the second leg.
Would have been information I wish I paid a little bit more attention to because he had 17 fantasy points in 12 minutes tonight. 4,400 though. The price is going up on him. Jabari's 4,400 price is going up on him as well. Can never pick the right Obi Toppin game. Where's O'Neal down to 47 minutes? Are kind of coming off of down on him, I guess, right? So Claxton's back, so they're playing a traditional line.
And they're using Lonnie Walker can't miss. They're like, hey, Lonnie, you're out there, dude.
That's fair. Anybody else then for power forward? Tari Eason?
Yeah, I mean, Eason, Boucher, they're all the same play, right? They're just high ceiling guys that only going to play X amount of minutes, but can put up a lot of fantasy points. I guess interesting lineup note or how it could play out. Keegan Murray is listed questionable. We did see the other day they started that second half with Kessler Edwards. He's $3,000, and Duarte is also questionable.
And
So
8 o'clock start time, maybe we'll know.
I would say my guess is if Murray's out and Duarte is in, Duarte starts because you could just play Harris. You probably just play Harrison Barnes.
Sure.
If they're both out and Vezenkov is out, I'm assuming Kessler Edwards would just be the starter.
Does that make you like Harry B at all?
Never.
Okay.
A 14-game slate, you'll never catch me playing Harrison Barnes. Never.
I mean,
maybe
16 points.
You know what, John? Next year, opening night, revisit this conversation.
Okay. Harry B opening night. I know.
Harry B opening night.
He's the Sammy Watkins week 1 guy.
He is Sammy Watkins. Dude, that is a fantastic comparison. Sammy Watkins week 1 forever.
Center, the Joker got teed up and kicked out in 15 minutes against Detroit. NBA refs just, not realizing that we're not here to see them. We're here to pay big money to see them, to see the players. So if you went to Detroit to sit through a Pistons game, which actually they ended up winning, to see Jokic, you were sadly disappointed. Last time we saw was it Giannis get ejected. He came out just upset and broke the slate. Do you think Joker goes into Orlando, rides the haunted mansion, and then just lays it down against Orlando here?
What do you picture Jokic's favorite ride at Disney being? What do you think if he could pick one? He picks one ride. It's
he goes to the Pirates Caribbean ride. Just the super slow, boring.
He's just riding Everest solo. The one, what is the Fast Pass Everest? He's just on Everest over and over again, or he's going on the safari over and over again.
He's probably a big Epcot guy.
Big Epcot guy for sure. Him and his brothers, big Epcot guy for sure.
Drink all day.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should not have jobs if we ever tell you
not to play Joker.
Yeah, you can of course you can play him.
Does Goga have a ceiling game here, against Joker? Probably not. Sabonis, sad face.
Yeah.
Sad face.
Yeah.
Dude still almost triple-doubled while having a floor game. If his floor game is a triple-double, I mean, that just speaks to what he is, right?
Yeah. I mean, dude, I still it is still one of those things where he's coming off of not only did he 32, 27, 29, 23. Is he that consistent of a scorer all the time? No, but he's also averaging 20 a game. So if you just get the 20 a game Sabonis here, we're cooking with something. This is going to be a complete different game. It was a back-to-back after a night he played 35 minutes. New Orleans, again, they're missing McCollum. They're down a bunch of pieces, and the Kings were the best rated offense of all time a year ago. They're just not going to get torched again. I'm definitely going back to the well with Sabonis here.
Şengün? Guy had a back problem, they said.
He put the team on his back. He is a
30, 13, and 5 in that game for Alperen Şengün.
The former Oklahoma City Thunder product is quite the player.
Draft day trade there. $8,200 is Şengün here going up against Memphis. Again, knowing Triple J, Bismack, Biyombo, that front court rather, should be a good spot for Şengün. Price is only going to continue to rise.
Yep.
I think for him here. We have Bam listed as probable. I guess that's still something to monitor. Never know if we get a midday downgrade. Chet going up against Chicago. I mean, not a great spot against Portland because they won by the blowout. Hit all the shots. Came off a 64 fantasy point game against Golden State there. The price it's still a good price if you think this game is competitive.
Dude, he's great. He's great. If this game stays competitive, he's great. If it doesn't, that's very sad.
Okay. Valanciunas?
He has been so good. He played 21 minutes and had 46. He had the Sabonis game that I was hoping for.
Well, I mean, this is what we know of Valanciunas, right? I mean, the 7 assists is probably too much, but he's always been a big point per minute guy. Not a 2 point per minute guy, but he's been a big point per minute guy over the course of his career. Let's see. Nurkic at 65. Dude, Mark Williams has been a monster.
He has been a monster.
In that game against Washington, he had 21 and 24. We might have found our chalk center of the slate.
Yeah, he's gonna get a lot of ownership. When we
coming off of a 50 fantasy point game, and then what we've seen him do against Washington,
and the minutes, dude. The minutes had. I remember
Richards has that concussion. Remember,
Richards has a concussion, and now we're getting 30 minutes a night. He's been pretty good about keeping himself out of foul trouble. Everything's lining up for Mark Williams right now.
Agreed. Big time agree.
I wonder if Jared Allen sits on the back-to-back. This would be his first back-to-back this year. He has, I mean, and they've been limiting him. I know the limit was lifted on Tuesday, but I wonder if he is a candidate to sit in this game.
Sure. Let's see. Where else do we think we go? Claxton, 59?
Claxton, 59. Look, I'm just going to say this. I don't love playing Brook Lopez all the time, but there's been talk about there was talk with head coach Adrian Griffin, and Brook Lopez said, please put me in drop coverage more. I literally was second in defensive player of the year last year, and I blocked every shot. And if you go look at what Brook Lopez is doing in the blocks department right now, he has 5, 2, 6, and 7. He has an 8 block game earlier in the year. Since this conversation with Adrian Griffin, and 3 times over that span, he has now gone for 38, 38, 42 fantasy points.
They're letting him play the minutes too,
he's playing the minutes. I'm not like sitting here advocating Brook Lopez is my favorite play, but if he's going to block 5, 6, 7 shots in 3 of his last 4 games,
right,
it's worth a conversation for a guy at just $6,000.
I would agree with you. I don't really think there's much value centers, but is anybody popping off for you?
Why is Christian Wood 5,600?
I don't know.
Okay.
Do they know something we don't know about the Lakers in this game?
That makes no sense. Like Lively's been playing decent minutes, but
you think Anthony Davis lets him have?
It's gonna be a terrible time for him. Of course, Dayron played 20 minutes last time out. John, 22 fantasy points, of course, because that's what Dayron does mostly every game.
Most times.
They messed up.
Yeah, that feels. That
is a misclick, right?
Someone meant to type a 5 and they typed a 4.
That's just a misclick, right?
30 minutes, 33 fantasy points against them.
Dude, but he's finally getting like pretty consistent run.
Yeah, he's staying out of foul trouble.
That's just a misprice.
So that's your chalk then, right?
Yeah, that's your chalk. Yeah. I mean, that's good. That's good value. I know Daniel Gafford is not like a comfortable roster most nights, but that's good value. And yeah, I'm willing to.
Guy who won a GBP the other day played Charles Bassey for no reason whatsoever.
When he hadn't even been the backup center, if you look at the
just clicked like, oh, this might be a blowout. I'll play Bassey and then hit the nuts. I'm not recommending it. Just calling out the hypocrisy there. Naz Reid, 18 minutes. We know what he can be. Achua played some time here tonight. Had a decent game. It's probably it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's build a lineup.
Let's build for the folks at home.
We got LaMelo and Gafford in. What's our next piece?
LaMelo, Gafford, $5,900.
Lonnie?
Yeah.
All right, we want guys against Atlanta and Indy here.
I can't believe they just priced him at 42. Gafford at 4,200. I cannot believe that.
I know.
What is wrong?
You probably have to do Siakam at 8K, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's very cheap.
Feels like a really good price tag on him. I mean, it's that or Bridges at 72. I mean, I don't know if we can fit them both.
No, I don't think.
I mean, 4,800. Do we have another like surefire value down here somewhere?
That's what I was looking for. I mean, obviously the Kings have a lot of potential.
Concher 42 if he starts again.
Such a low floor.
I know.
Such a low floor. I'd rather play like any Kings value if guys were ruled out. Because Keegan didn't play in the second half of that game.
Right. We just don't know. I mean, Neesmith.
Don't know. 42. Yeah. I mean, Neesmith.
He started tonight. You know, will he start tomorrow? Is the question. Isaiah Joe 46.
Isaiah Joe's a good one. 4,600. I think he's been playing mid-20s minutes, and there's no Jalen Williams. If you feel better about the Case and Wallace thing, you could do that too. But Case and Wallace has a much lower floor because Case and Wallace has started last game, and I think they would do that again. NAW could start. Kyle Anderson could start.
Yeah.
Sadiq.
I mean, this is what I just threw in just to get the guys. Now we only have LaMelo as like a top spend, but obviously we know Bridges and Siakam have ceilings. Could play around with it. Don't necessarily need to go Siakam if we like some of the mid-tier guys that we talked about as well that have some upside. I just think that, we talked Barnes or Siakam, and Siakam has certainly flashed some upside here lately.
I'm good. Yeah, I mean, I love the price tag for Siakam.
Okay. Let's look at it then an example lineup for everybody then. LaMelo Ball, Lonnie Walker, Miles Bridges, Pascal Siakam, Daniel Gafford, Colin Sexton, Isaiah Joe, Sadiq Bey, $200 left over. Again, news will come out throughout the day. We'll be able to update then for you. James is on your playbook as well, so be on the lookout for that to come out during the day. We'll be in the Discord, and you can find us on Twitter if you have any questions. But till then, we'll talk to you later.